Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
All right, welcome to the program. Welcome to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush, and we have my co-host today, Debbie Robbins, back with me again. And we've got a jam-packed show, and it's going to be really, really interesting today. We've got there's so many topics that we're trying to cover, and it's everything from national to local to what's going on in Frankfurt, and so it's really it's a target-rich environment right now, as they say in the military, and so and actually we have a really cool guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. If the story we covered yesterday, the hidden camera investigation at the University of Kentucky. With the Accuracy Media, it's an organization that does these sort of investigative reports. They were on the campus and they were interviewing somebody at the sociology department at UK, and they just basically admitted that they continue to practice DEI policies. Well, the problem with that is that's illegal now, and so this is all caught on camera, and so we're actually going to have the president of Accuracy Media on the show today at the bottom of the hour, 11:30, to discuss that and see what's happening there. But in the meantime, we have a lot of other things to cover, and I want to make sure that people know that the Super Bowl special, the TPUSA Super Bowl special, right? Because there's an alternative Super Bowl halftime show now that Turning Point USA is putting on. Well, that special can be seen here on our station, WBNA Channel 21, here on Sunday. And so
that's going to be great. It's got Kid Rock and so many other wonderful, brave people who want to go up against huge media.
That's exactly right.
I think it's unbelievable. Faith, family, and freedom.
That's right. And fun.
That's what we're covering.
And fun. I think it's going to be a funner show because, what's that character? Bad Bunny, this guy, he's.
And he won a Grammy and he made all kinds of horrific remarks the other night.
Exactly. It's just very un-American. He's celebrating the whole LGBT movement and just, so if you want a woke halftime show, you watch the mainstream halftime show. If you want an American halftime show, tune into WBNA Channel 21 and watch the Turning Point USA halftime show. So that is happening Sunday. So make sure you just want to point that out. You can also see it in other outlets, streaming. Obviously TBN. There's like a half a dozen other networks that are carrying it, but you can watch it here on our station if you'd like, and so that's awesome. Debbie, we've got about 2 minutes left for this segment. I wanted to mention a poll that came out today, a new poll in the Senate primary race to replace Mitch McConnell, the Republican Senate primary. Of course, we have the three front runners: Andy Barr, Daniel Cameron, and Nate Morris. Yesterday, we had a poll that came out that showed that Cameron was in the lead, just not by a lot, but just definitely in a lead, then now today we have a new poll. I'm going to pull, Mr. Producer, I'm going to pull this poll up if you can see it. So the results.
And who did it? Who did this poll?
This is an independent group. We're not sure of the exact group. We're still trying to dig into who did that, but this is the results. So we got Barr at 28.3%. And then Cameron at 27.4%. So that's basically neck and neck. I mean, they're within the margin of error there. So that's a tie. And then you got Morris at 16%. So that's interesting. And because, honestly, Debbie, I have not made a decision on who I'm voting for. I'm leaning towards somebody. I'm leaning towards Cameron just because I think the man's got a pretty solid character, and I like what he did, here at the state level. I was not impressed with his governor's campaign, obviously. We all were disappointed in that. I think there were some missteps there, and maybe he was listening to the wrong people. But so I'm concerned that can he win this national, this statewide race again? But because I want somebody to win, but I'm kind of leaning towards Cameron. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I am a part of the at-large committee for the Republican Party, so I'm not allowed to
You're not
lean.
allowed to
Well,
say.
I
There
can
we go.
support. I really can. We can. We just can't as a party support one person yet. I think that Barr and Daniel are amazing. In the past, I voted for Daniel. He is a consistent person. I heard them speak last summer at the Lincoln Day dinner in front of about 600 people. Daniel has a way of capturing the heart of America.
He
So
does.
he's great.
He does.
And I think,
And listen,
yeah.
Morris is not, I don't want to ignore Morris either. I mean, Charlie Kirk endorsed him. He's got a lot of, support from the MAGA crowd. I don't know.
Right.
I'd be happy with Morris too. I still haven't really made a hard decision yet. But,
It's
but
tough.
we'll be right back. We're going to talk more about this race and some other issues here on Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice, and I've got my co-host today, Debbie Robbins. Who, if you don't know Debbie, she's a very interesting person. She is she's been a longtime contemporary Christian music singer, an artist for probably decades. Has done a lot of work with the military overseas. She has performed on probably every military base in the world, and I'm not kidding. Literally all over the world. She's worked with them for 40 years, and so just strong in ministry, and so very definitely a evangelical Christian, conservative Christian. So I wanted to pull this clip up and get your reaction, because this is from a fellow Christian artist commenting on the immigration issue. And I want to hear your comments on this. So,
like
Mr.
what the
Producer.
church should be doing in regards to this climate.
I think that we should be intentional about being very vocal about that. First of all, Jesus' mom and daddy were immigrants. So, but we need to be
Not
very.
Mary and Joseph. You better.
So
better let 'em know.
we just need to be very careful to not be arrogant and prideful. And I think that we need to get in the streets and be able to save and love as many people as we can. And when I say save, I'm not talking about just their souls. I'm talking about their lives. We need to be feeding people, taking care of people, looking
Yes.
out for people. Because the way the government is happening with this change in AI, it's going to put a lot of people out of work. So we need to be more compassionate
Yes.
about the human race.
Okay, if you don't know who that is, those in the Christian music world know who that is. That is Kirk Franklin. He's a very famous Christian artist, really big in the 90s, really, but he's kept his name for going for a while. So he's saying that Christians should be a little bit more pro-immigrant, because Jesus and Joseph were immigrants and all this garbage. And so I don't know, Debbie, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you agree that Christians should be pro illegal immigration, basically because we're Christians?
In the Bible, when Samuel was told he had to go choose the next king, and he went to the house of Jesse, and he saw all the sons, and he kept saying, no, 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 no. When he got to David, or he didn't get to David yet, he said, where do you have any other sons? I've got a young shepherd in the field. His name is David. He said, well, bring him to me. He said, but he's young, and Samuel said, man looks at the outside, but God looks at the inside. And here's the thing. As Christians, we should never, ever have a problem with race or race relations or immigration. But let's get to the bottom line here. The bottom line is we live in America. We have laws. The Bible is very clear about that we need to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. We need to honor those in authority. We need to honor the law. But we're also a people. We the people. We have control. If you want the laws to change, then you've got to advocate and lobby and get the people that you elect to office to get them to change the immigration laws. But I think Mr. Franklin is misguided. He's not really reading the Word of God. He's letting his compassion get in the way of it's like being a parent. You have to speak truth, you have to discipline, you have to do what's right. And breaking laws and crossing the border into this nation is just simply not right.
Right.
There are so many, it affects every part of our lives when you don't know anything about someone. You don't know their background. You don't know if they're criminals. You don't know their parents. You don't know their diseases. You know nothing. They don't speak the language. They don't want to assimilate. Because America, we may be a melting pot, but we do have a very beautiful culture that we created. And we need to keep that culture. That's what we're screaming about. I forget which president, maybe it was Eisenhower. He was the only other one I think that really closed down the borders so that people could assimilate. Because back when we had the Irish that came over and all of the other nations that came, they assimilated.
That's right.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Franklin, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Go back and read the Word.
I've heard this phrase a lot, and I tend to agree with this. It's not we have borders and we have immigration controls not because we hate the people on the other side of the border. It's because we love the people on our side of the border, and so you can and I think the Bible says I think that someone that doesn't take care of his household is no worse than an infidel or something. That I'm paraphrasing, but basically and like you said, truth and love, right? I mean, you've got to have law and justice and truth along with love, and if you don't have if it's just all love and all empathy all the time, it's chaos, and that's where this is a theme we picked up a lot on this program. The term toxic empathy, having so much empathy for someone that it's actually toxic, or empathy for a topic
That's
to where
a
it's
good way
actually
to put it.
it's actually hurtful, and so there's just this instinct, and so. And I hate to say this, a lot of women, especially evangelical Christian women, get caught up in this because women are by nature they're more nurturing, and they're a little bit more have a built-in empathy because they're designed that way for children. They're designed to help raise children. Let's face it, you got to be very sensitive and nurturing to raise a child.
And
it's
I'm
a very
a mama.
vulnerable thing.
I'm a mama.
That's right.
But my child. I wasn't doing relationship without rules is not good, and rules without relationship is not good.
Right.
That's what Josh McDowell would say.
Yeah.
And we're a nation of laws, and we have to follow them. We have to. I had a friend, I saw a Facebook friend who is in the medical world doing exactly what you said, a female defending. I'm getting off on another topic. Well, no, similar, the ICE situation in Minnesota,
right?
And going on and on about this person that they killed was a caregiver.
Yeah.
Well, but they got and trying to guilt all the Christians into saying no matter who you are, this is horrible what happened to him. No, it should have never happened. If the young man would have been following the law, and his own father knew what he was up to and warned him to say, because he quit his job and became a part of this Antifa movement or it's just terrible what has happened. So you're right. No, women, we've got to get control of. Yes, we are good moms. And
here's the thing: the progressives, those on the left, are targeting women. They know that there's not a weakness, but there's a nature that's different with women, and so the left knows how to manipulate and sort of trigger a compassionate, empathetic response by positioning certain people as the victims, as the weaker, as someone that needs to be protected and nurtured and mothered. And so a lot of this stuff, like basically the immigrant or the LGBT person with same-sex attractions, or the transgender, or all these issues. There's an instinct that seems to be triggered with a lot of women who are not thinking rationally, they're thinking just emotionally, and they're saying, and it's triggering this deferred motherhood instinct, and so they're they're just they're just blinded to this. Oh, this is a victim. I need to take care of them, and a lot of it's because a lot of women are not having kids anymore. I mean, we have a lot of especially middle-aged, urban, white liberal women who are the Karens, the quintessential cat ladies. They have to take that motherhood instinct and put it somewhere. And so, because that's why they, the whole cat, cliche. Well, a lot of it's because they're raising the cats because they need this mothering instinct needs to be there. It's there. They can't go away. And
It is there, and I will say this as a lady who, I'm empathetic to those women that don't have children. I didn't have a child either until midlife. I have a miracle baby that was given to me. I became pregnant in midlife. So I've been on both ends of that spectrum. But I want to say to Christian women in particular, you really, really have to focus on holiness and righteousness and what is right. And I see illegal immigrants everywhere. I also speak Spanish pretty fluently, and I speak to a lot of illegal aliens. And many times I have to hold my tongue. I want to ask them, "Are you here legally?" But I know they're not. So, but
Right.
and they are not to be here. They just cannot be here.
Yeah.
They take our homes. They take our jobs. Like I said, I have a young son whom it's who is going to be in the workplace in 18 months from now permanently. I mean, he's worked ever since he was a teenager, but all those things, it's just crazy. And
Right.
especially them defending people that have broken the law. When you
Right.
cross the border, you've broken the law.
Yeah.
I don't care if
You
it's
know-
a misdemeanor, which is what it is the first time, but you've broken the law.
Yeah, you broke the law. Exactly right. Either we
and
have
when I
laws or
get
we
a
don't.
ticket-
It's either we have a country or
It's
we
right.
don't. And it's-
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it's not like we're asking people. It's not like we're rounding up people and putting them in the gulag. We're just
We're
asking you to go
not.
home. We're just asking you to go
Yes.
home, and go build up your country. And matter of fact, we'll give you a check to do so. So you
Exactly.
And it's not, this whole thing that you're terrible. You're rounding them up. You're being just like the Gestapo, the Nazis. No, we're not. We're just asking you to go home.
Yes,
Your
and
country
our
you came
check-
from,
our check
it
we're
might not have
giving
the
you-
same economic opportunities that this country has, but you know what?
Exactly.
You need to go build that country up. We're going to support you to do that, and so there's no reason. Here's the problem. We're taking all the best and brightest out of the countries that need some help, and we're sucking them out and drawing them here, where that energy could be focused on improving those countries. And so it's
And
actually
we're also cheating our children from learning
That's right.
skills.
exactly
skills
right.
that
Yeah.
we're using.
I can tell you
for-
stories
for,
about that.
quote, slave labor.
Yeah,
unquote.
absolutely. I can tell you how many people I've hired that, a lot of men, or young men, that can't even change a tire. They never
Right.
cut the grass, and so
Right.
it's we've got a real problem with that, and we're depriving our young people from the joys of manual labor, which is something you can learn a lot from. So anyway, great topic.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about Trump's comments yesterday at the prayer breakfast, and we'll be right back with Debbie Robbins here on Kentucky's Voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice, and I'm here with Debbie Robbins, and we're talking immigration. You know, this last segment we kind of unpacked sort of the Christian conversation that's going on, you know, within the Christian community about how we should treat the immigration issue, and I think we covered that pretty well about, you know, you can be toxically empathetic to issues like this, and really at the end of the day, law and order and justice and protecting your family should take precedent over the certain issues. But you know, here's a good example. Mr. Producer, I want you to pull this picture up. This just happened yesterday. This is a illegal alien semi-truck, okay, that licensed out of California, okay, just like this, just like in Florida last year, where this Florida or this California licensed illegal alien, you know, killed those people in that car. Well, this semi-truck just yesterday kills 4 Amish men driving in a van, and it just killed, you know. And this guy's an illegal immigrant, and he got licensed in California. And so, I'm sorry, I care about the lives of the Amish men. You know, they're Americans, you know, and their lives and are sacred, and we have a responsibility to help protect our fellow citizens here. And so their lives take precedent over this illegal immigrants' desires to have a better economic, situation for his life. So, anyway, and Debbie, here's my concern. You know, we're kind of heading into a moment in the country where I'm not sure how this is going to shake out, because both parties see this issue as an existential issue. And for example, the right, they see this correctly. They see this as if we don't deal with this issue, the left is going to win, because the left's plan for the past 30 years is to bring in illegals and to replace the population, replace the native-born American population who traditionally votes more right, because we come from a culture that values individual liberties. It's basically, you know, Anglo-Saxon, English tradition. We value civil, you know, individual liberties and freedom, and so we're always going to be center-right as long as that culture sort of reigns supreme. And so the left's plan has been, okay, let's supplant that culture. Let's replace those. Let's ethnically cleanse that culture. That's what they're doing with immigration. And the right has figured this out, and we've said, okay, well, this is not good. And matter of fact, it's already impacting us, because all these illegals are getting counted in the census, right? So people, so these California districts out there are artificially inflated. There's more California districts than there should be. And so there's more U.S. House seats for California than there should be because of illegals. Same in states like Texas and others where there's high levels of illegals. And so they're already taking our voting power away. And the left, they know that all they need to do is get these people legalized, and that's it. Because people from Latin America, not all of them, but there's a tendency to be a little bit more left wing because they have a different political history. They kind of they've been a little bit more oppressed by the Spanish colonial powers, so they're a little bit more willing to go along with left wing ideas. Not always. I got a lot of Cuban friends who are like, we've tried that, we ain't doing that. But generally the left knows that a lot of Latin American immigration is going to tip a state or a jurisdiction more to the left. Proof is California. California used to vote Republican consistently. Now California is just a one-party state. So the right sees this as an existential moment, and if we don't push this back, we will never have political control in this country again. Now the left sees. Let me finish this point, because see, the left also sees this as an existential moment. They know that that's their play. They know that they cannot win and maintain political power unless they do this. And so that's why they're pulling out all the stops, and they're going to pull every string. They're going to get every radical group to act up and do what they need to do. So, and since both parties represent these radically different worldviews, almost like a pre-Civil War sort of conflict in worldviews, it's like slave or free. It's either woke or traditional, And so since there's these radically different worldviews, and this issue that is going to determine the power structure for the country for next several generations, we're at this moment where I don't know how we're going to get through it without some sort of testing of our of our character as a country. And I'm talking because I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sure you've heard the terminology. So we're heading to a civil war. We're heading to a civil conflict. That's an insurrection. You know, if you look at all the metrics of what it looks like when a country is about to go into the civil war, because academics have studied this, and they look at all these different scenarios, such as civil strife, all these things. We're there. We are absolutely on that track now. Because, for example, would you think we would have had two assassination attempts on a president? Say this is 2014. Somebody said, in 2020 or 2024, we're going to have two assassination attempts on a president. We're going to have a shooting of a major conservative pundit. We're going to have riots in this. I mean, you wouldn't have thought of this 10 years ago. But see, so things ratchet up slowly, like a frog being cooked slowly, and so. I don't know how we're going to get through this, is what I'm saying. And let me make this last point. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What's definitely happening right now is the left is organizing. They're organizing to do something. They're doing this color revolution. They're getting people on the streets. They basically almost won this battle in Minneapolis. There's arguments about who won that. Was it Tim Walz or Trump? I don't know. I think it looks like the left thinks that Trump backed down. So in their mind, their tactics worked. And so that's gonna make it worse. And what I'm not seeing on the right, I'm not seeing us organize. And I think we need to consider doing that. And I'm not saying get out there in the streets and start fighting and all this kind of silliness. But I'm two minds of this. So here's a question for you. As a conservative, as the movement, as our conservative, should we be trying to organize to prepare to counter these left-wing street protest and these takeovers that are going to occur, or these riots are going to occur? Because listen, this is the wintertime. They're doing it. Imagine when this is summer and people are willing to go outside. And Minneapolis would have been burned down. So here's the question. So should we be counter-organizing, getting organized, or should we just put all our faith in the federal government and making sure they are cracking down on this and doing their job, which they seem to be?
I have an answer for you.
Yes.
I believe that it's three-pronged. Number one, we elected Donald J. Trump and a majority in the House and the Senate in 2024, and we, the people, need to keep pressing and pressing and pressing our elected officials to follow through with what we elected them for, number one.
Yep.
So that's on the secular end, if you're just a secular or just a citizen here.
Yep.
Number two, as Christians, we need to get a hold of things in the church, in my humble opinion.
There we go.
And I'm going to say we need to PUSH, pray until something happens.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of leaders that lack courage,
Yes.
that lack conviction. I hate to say that.
We really do.
I don't even. But I pray for our church leadership every day. I pray for them not to have moral failure, but I pray for them to have courage and to wake up. And that's a huge issue to me. If we pray as Christians, and number three, of course, we need to find like-minded people. I believe there are organizations out there. The fourth thing for me that's frustrating to me is that, we're human. And, even me sitting here talking now, if, I could be fearful if I want to be, if somebody hears what I have to say and doesn't like me and would want to do something about that. But I'd have to be fearless. And the other thing is I want to know what to do. So if I see illegal aliens everywhere, which I do every day, all day long, how do we handle that?
That's right.
And I don't believe our president is backing down. I really do not.
Yeah.
I believe he has won in Minnesota. So, but bottom line is hold our leaders accountable right now.
Yeah.
And that means our state legislatures that are sitting there right now making laws, listening. And we do that. And then PUSH, pray until something happens, find a group, do something, get involved.
Yeah.
We have to do it to
There we
save
go.
our country.
I think you're right.
yeah.
We've got to push the government, because we control the federal government at this point. And so we can push them to do what's right, enforce the laws. But I think there's
Yes.
going to come a time when maybe we're out of power and we're going to need to counter-organize, because if we just let the left dominate and feel like they can win, by doing these little hissy fits in the street, and then suddenly they change the narrative, and all the people in the middle like, oh, we're scared. Let's stop doing whatever Trump wants to do because we don't like. We've got to counter organize, and so I think that's something we need to focus on in the next few weeks. We've got a great guest coming up this next segment. It's the president of Accuracy Media on the UK story. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice, and we've got a great guest on right now. We have the president of Accuracy and Media, Adam. Is that right? Adam. Yeah, Adam Gillette. Adam Gillette. Sorry about that. I was going to say Andrew for a second and popped in my head. So, Adam, thanks for being on the program. We covered this story yesterday. I'm going to play this clip here as soon as I pull it up. But this is a story about what you guys did at the University of Kentucky. You had a hidden camera interview with one of the sociology professors there, basically asking them about DEI. And actually, why don't you set this up? What was going on? What was the investigation about, and we'll play the clip, and then we'll discuss the outcome.
Sure. We've investigated universities across the country in red states where DEI is banned. And we don't go after, left-wing professors as if there's any other type. We go after the highly paid administrators like the individual in that video, because in the past decade or so, essentially these universities have become activist organizations that run a med school on the side. And perhaps the most common activism we see is this anti-American far-left Marxist nonsense called DEI, which, according to the individual we spoke with, is embedded into education at the University of Kentucky.
It's a good segue. Let me play this clip right now, and we'll see what he said.
Even if it's not explicitly said, because it's like one of those things that, but it's like, it's there, and it's an important, part. It's just part of the curriculum, and I mean, if you look at the syllabuses, especially, it's there.
Yeah, okay.
Because people, you have to teach these things.
I have no idea. I don't remember any of it.
You don't even remember. We have it on video.
Good stuff. So that was you interviewing him after that. So first of all, who is that person? And let's, some of the audio was a bit rough, so let's kind of paraphrase what he was saying. So who was that person?
That's Justin Condor, a department manager in, if I remember correctly, the sociology department.
That's right.
And he was bragging to our investigator about how even though there is a state law banning DEI, it's still very much in the education at that university. He talked about how it's part of what they do. It's important to what they do. It's in the syllabus if you look at the syllabus. And honestly, unfortunately, he's absolutely right. The law means nothing to these radicals. All they've done is simply change the verbiage, change their job titles, and they're still doing the exact same thing.
Okay, so Adam, tell us about this law. So what law are they breaking?
I believe it's Senate Bill 4, which prohibited DEI principles from being pushed into higher education in Kentucky. Kentucky is one of many states that passed such a law. And unfortunately, Kentucky's law, like most of them, has no teeth to it. There's no reporting mechanism. There aren't even significant consequences for breaking the law. So, of course, these unaccountable radicals like Justin Condor, who think that they have a God-given right for our tax dollars in their salary to push radical nonsense, they're not going to stop that at all. Yeah. These people think they're entirely unaccountable. You know, I think it's the stat is in the past 10 years, they've created 20 administrative positions for every one new faculty position in higher ed. And nearly all of these administrative positions are DEI, LGBTQ. They are taxpayer-funded activists at our expense.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like in the old Soviet Union, in the military, they have the commissars and each unit had a commissar, almost like we have chaplains in the military, you know. And so these universities are basically like secular seminaries. There's indoctrination centers, and these administrators are basically like the commissar, or like the priest, the high priest of the woke religion that are enforcing that worldview on the students, and this is proof of it. And to your point, Adam, you know, universities have changed their mission over the past several decades. It used to be higher education. They sought out truth. They were just trying to educate people on all these elevated topics of human understanding. Now they see it as a mission to change society, and they see themselves as morally righteous and are better than the average American because their values are more just and basically all this left-wing woke stuff they feel virtuous about what they're doing. So they're on a mission. So even if you tell them to stop doing it, they feel like they're doing the right thing and they're going to just keep doing it unless there's consequences. So
yeah, they're on an evangelical mission. That is, if they believed in God. Although I think for most of them, government is their God.
That's right.
And you know, we used to bemoan the leftist faculty that would indoctrinate students, and that's barely even a concern of mine anymore. One, because I think students aren't really that influenced by faculty. They're influenced by influencers.
Yeah.
But they've spent 13 years in K through 12 education, which in Kentucky includes critical race theory principles, anti-racism. They're taught as early as kindergarten that capitalism is inherently racist, America is systemically racist. And then when they arrive in these college campuses, there is an entire cadre of activist administrators who essentially, help them organize activism, work with the student organizations to create activism, get people signed up for left-wing organizations. It's almost as if they put, ROTC, but it's ROTC for far left activism.
Yes.
It'd be one thing if we just had lefty professors, but it's a cadre of taxpayer-funded, essentially Democratic Socialists of America activists.
Yeah, taxpayer-funded and also funded by the parents. The parents that are sending these kids to these institutions, they don't realize this very often. They think it was college like from back in the 70s or 80s when they were going, which is still a little bit left-wing back then. But now it's a total new, it's a radical left-wing environment now. That's a few years ago, if you would have said something halfway conservative in a public way, in campus, you would almost be run off campus, canceled. So kids are actually fearful. They were fearful to actually express conservative opinions because of the violence they would even see. But,
I'm not fearful when I visit these college students because I bring off-duty law enforcement with me.
Well,
after our mobile billboards got bashed with bricks and after people spray painted me and after I was swatted 13 times for our activism on college campuses, we put safety protocols in place. Thankfully, these administrators are a bit more pacifist oriented, thankfully, when we visit them. But when I go to these universities, the irony is amazing because they claim to be all about inclusion. Yet in these buildings, it's nothing but far left propaganda all over the walls everywhere. Far left posters, far left flags. I look at their bookshelves and it's nothing but far left anti-capitalist literature. It's fine if you want to have that in the student library. All viewpoints should be accepted. But why is that in every office building? Why are there posters about social justice in all of the administrative office buildings? How can that be inclusive for, let's say, a conservative Christian who wants to attend a university where all of the administrative buildings have propaganda entirely opposed to him everywhere he or she goes?
Right. Yeah, they love diversity except for diversity of thought. You know?
Exactly.
So it must be one way of viewing the world, but we want diversity in every other way. So let me bring Debbie in on this. So Debbie, we were talking about this yesterday, universities, and what do you think we should do as a state or even as a parent sending our kids to schools? I mean, what should we do in this? I mean, obviously the UK is thumbing their nose at this law, and so
Right. Well, I think Lindsay Tishner was on yesterday. I'm sure Adam's familiar with her. I hope he is.
State senator.
I think she has Senate bill. What did she say? 26,
26.
where they're going back in and retightening this again. And I hope, Adam, first of all, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's extraordinary. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you will go and speak with her and be there on the Kentucky State Capitol, which is Capitol Hill also. But as a parent, I had a child graduate in 2023 from high school. Thankfully for him, he got his education K through 12 at the Highlands Latin School, very traditional classical Christian curriculum. It was phenomenal, but he's now at the University of Louisville, and it's very different there. But so we as parents, it is so hard to just constantly, I mean, we did all we could to pour into him, but we're always conscientious to revisit his thoughts. What are you thinking? What are you hearing? But I want Lindsay or anyone on the Capitol Hill in Kentucky that's working on the new DEI bill to put some teeth in it. And Adam, whatever those teeth are, I hope that you will. I'm calling your name right? Adam. It's Adam, not Alex.
Adam,
It is Adam. That's all right. No worries.
It's Adam. It's Adam. Great. Good. Just I hope that you will be the one that will go there and tell them, give them some solutions. I mean, and I will back you up as a parent and as a citizen. And the other thing is we need to continue to be educated about it. The more that you let us know and others, that is the biggest thing. I just think our people are just not educated. They are a soundbite society, and that's all our faults. But the minute that you challenge them, I'm always challenging people. Where did you hear that? What why? Giving them the moral reason why. Always give them the facts.
Adam,
That's all
what
can
should
do.
we do? What can we do to put some teeth
tell
into
us.
this bill?
A couple quick things there to unpack. First of all, we have multiple investigations coming out from the University of Kentucky, as well as multiple from many other universities across the state, including several incredibly devastating ones from Louisville.
Good.
One of the most radical administrators I've seen in America was at Louisville, as a matter of fact. I think you'll be shocked when you see it. The solution, first of all, is to have a DEI ban with teeth, like Kansas has, with a reporting mechanism and legal consequences. Anyone caught misappropriating taxpayer funds, that is, spending tax dollars on something that's illegal under state law, should be prohibited from ever earning a government paycheck for the rest of their career. They should be stripped of their pension. In addition, Kentucky needs what Florida has done to a small degree, radical reform of higher ed. That means bringing in trustees who are focused on education and wiping out entire departments, not just one-off bad apples. These are rotten orchards.
I totally
you need
agree.
to restore this to people who are focused on actually educating instead of activism.
Totally agree. Yeah, you're right. The entire Arts and Sciences Department at the University of Louisville is just a radical left-wing cesspit. As far and I'm a graduate of this, right? So I know.
Yeah.
And this is back. It was bad in the '90s, but it's really bad now.
And what if I told you that they were now embedding these radical ideas in the hard sciences program?
Yeah, I'm sure
as a
they are.
means of hiding it. That's happening right now in Louisville.
That's right. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I have a quick thought, and maybe we can cover it in the next segment. But last fall, when Charlie Kirk was murdered, and we had a ceremony for him at the University of Louisville, I was so disturbed to find some text that who's the cartoonist, Mark Murphy, who's in the law school there, that basically threatened Christians. And many of us spoke out, including Tony Piagentini from our Metro Council and others. And I called the university to no avail. He was not punished because they attached it to a current law where he's kind of protected. But that is so disturbing to me. This man
And those
stands in
principles are
front
directly in
of
line
our.
with DEI. They view Christians as oppressors, and they say that violence against oppressors is merely resistance to oppression.
Adam, we'll be right back. We're going to continue this. I want to hear more about this U of L incident here on Kentucky's Voice. We've got Adam Gillette with.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back.
To support this exciting renewal this morning, I'm pleased to announce that on May 17th, 2026, that we're inviting Americans from all across the country to come together on our national mall to pray, to give thanks, and we are going to do something that everyone said, like, that's tough. We're going to rededicate America as one nation under God. You know, a lot of people...
That's awesome. That was yesterday's prayer breakfast, and the president announced we're going to have a day of prayer where we're going to rededicate the country back to God in May, and that's going to be awesome. And Debbie, I hope you go to that. You can be our correspondent, and maybe you can sing.
I love it.
Maybe
One
you can
nation
sing for him,
under God.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And I want
Isn't
to see
that awesome?
I want to see you on the platform singing one of your great songs, because you're a contemporary Christian music singer. If you don't know who she is, she's really good. Okay, we've got Adam Gillette with us with Media Research. I keep Accuracy Media. I'm sorry, Accuracy Media. That's okay. Very good.
That's great.
That's
Love
right.
it.
And we really appreciate you being on and doing the Lord's work, actually, at the University of Kentucky, exposing the DEI madness there. And we were talking about the University of Louisville. I think you're doing some soon-to-be released exposés there as well. But there was this incident back when Charlie Kirk was assassinated of a poster that got put up at the university. And basically, it was a poster of him portraying him getting shot in a very disgusting way, and it said something. What was the phrase catch this? That's right. Catch or debate this. It was just evil and wicked. And Debbie, you were saying that it was someone from the law school that actually.
Well, yeah. Let me jump in here. Somebody sent me some text that, or it was on a platform on some, something online.
Yeah.
And it was Mark Murphy, the cartoonist,
Okay.
who is the political satirist cartoonist, very talented,
Right.
but, he's very liberal. And he's also a law professor at the University of Louisville. But what we saw was on a platform that he was on, he was very much criticizing Christians, pretty much threatening us. I have it and I can send it so people could see it, but it was right after the Charlie Kirk assassination. And when we were having his memorial on the campus at the University of Louisville, it had upset. Of course, we were all mourning and upset, but I'm thankful for Tony Piagentini on our Metro Council, who called the president of the university and complained about this because it was basically a threat to Christians. You've got to read it; you'll see what I'm saying.
Okay, so
And
he
I called.
he didn't do the cartoon. Did he do the cartoon?
No,
Or
he didn't do it. No, no.
oh,
Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry. I got you confused there. No,
okay,
he had nothing to do with it. These are two separate issues.
okay,
But
got it.
but to back up what Adam is saying, that we have very radical professors at the
Right.
University of Louisville, and that this man, his hatred of Christians, and it just happens to be that he's
What's
also
his name again? What's his name again?
Mark Murphy. And I think
Okay,
it's Marc
Adam,
Murphy.
just make note of that if you could. If you're doing
And
any
but
doing any
they
work
did
on the
nothing.
campus, Mark Murphy at the law school. So anyway,
Right,
just
but he's protected by a law, and I also have that I can give to you all later.
well, he's not protected by
And
bad press. So
it's just, yeah, it's very
yeah.
sad. It's just crazy that he's protected for the threat. It just, when I read it, I felt threatened.
Adam,
I mean, I'm a child of
your
God,
thoughts on
but I
this, Adam?
felt threatened.
Well, one of my favorite things about free speech is it enables us to know who the hateful bigots are. You know,
Right.
if there were laws against saying hateful things like that, we might not know the horrible thoughts that exist within that man's head. Now, that said, why should we be funding them with our tax dollars?
Right.
We recently had an Accuracy in Media team member, Corey DeAngelis, who's a very well-known school choice advocate. One of the members of University of Washington's research team responded to Corey's post by saying, "May there be Tyler Robinsons for all of you." Tyler Robinson, of course, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk. These are the sort of people that we're funding with our tax dollars. Why? Let them be bigots in the private sector.
Yeah.
They don't need to be a bigot with my money in their wallet. So what we do at Accuracy in Media, when the universities and the state governments won't deliver accountability, we deliver our own accountability. First of all, we generally buy their domain name. In the case of the UW researcher, maramon.com, and we set up a profile explaining exactly what they've done. And we work with SEO experts. So if you Google them when they go out for a date or a job interview, our domains come up first, and we renew those for many, many years. We even do, these are fun, geo-targeted ads targeting their workplace. So anybody who's been in the same building as them in the last 30 days gets ads on their phone and laptop
Genius.
explaining exactly what they've done.
Genius.
For the worst, we actually buy these social media ads targeting their Facebook and LinkedIn contacts. So when they show up for Thanksgiving dinner, their great aunt says, "What the heck did you post an X last semester? Mom and Dad, did you know about this?" So we deliver a lot of accountability.
Yes, we were just talking about this last
That's
segment
great.
that we need to counter organize right now. The right, we're very institutional in a lot of ways. We just vote and hope think people will take care of things, but we're at a point now where we really need to counter organize and do things like this. And so I think Accuracy in Media would be a great group to partner with to help counter, because you guys are doing some of the the edgy frontline work here that's needed to push back here. And thank goodness for these independent journalists like yourself, like Cam Higbee, Nick Sortor, what's the other fellow that there's another fellow that does this in the conservative space very well. But this undercover video work has done more to change the narrative in this country than anything else I've seen in the media. So hats off for doing it. But I assume you're going to continue doing this approach.
Of course, we couple hidden camera investigative journalism with what I call cultural activism. And it's funny, sometimes I feel like these people are going to put our investigators out of work, because when you have people who are posting, cartoons like that, we didn't even need to catch them on hidden cameras. These idiots are sharing these things publicly. When Maramon at UW tweets, a death call for conservative activists, we didn't need to even catch them on a hidden camera. They're doing it on their own. We've been very active at getting some of the worst university presidents fired. We played a major role in getting the presidents of Harvard and Columbia fired. But it's worse than that. As you mentioned, it's the Christian colleges. Even the Virginia Military Institute,
Really?
they hired a DEI-obsessed leader in the summer of 2020. And amongst other things, their leader hired a DEI-focused professor who blamed America and Israel for the October 7th terror attack. And they gave the guy a prestigious fellowship. So we did what anybody would do. We bought the domain names. We visited their campus with a mobile billboard pointing out the fact that they had a professor who blamed America for the October 7th terror attack at the Virginia Military Institute. And that president is now looking for another job. He got fired. We deliver the accountability when, unfortunately, our politicians won't.
That's wonderful, Adam. Thank you so much. Our mission is to educate, educate, educate. I read a quote recently where someone said, or people say, I don't care about politics. And the answer was, well, you know what? Politics cares about you. So you've got to pay attention. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to defend freedom. You're doing an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. It's so amazing. I'm excited now to go and look up what you're doing. And yeah, I would have loved to have seen Mark Murphy have a little bit of that accountability, because it it is so destructive. And I have a college age son. Like I said, it is every day. If I didn't pray for my son daily, I I fear what could happen. The enemy is so prevalent. This is a spiritual warfare, and people have to be boots on the ground. We have to participate, and it doesn't take a lot. As I've said the few times I've been on this program so far, one phone call represents hundreds of voices, sometimes thousands, because you are speaking for someone, many that are like-minded, who don't know to call, they don't know yet, but we need to continue educating them, and what you're doing is amazing, and it's great to have you on here today. I love it.
Well, you're so kind. We set up DEIinkentucky.com, DEIinkentucky.com, where you could send one message that goes directly to all of the relevant elected officials. You could send our pre-written message or write your own. We'll be releasing a lot more investigations from UK and other Kentucky universities. You'll see them on all of our social media platforms, also on aim.org, AIM.org. And we love tips like the one that you brought to me, because we very consistently get active on them. We actually own the world's largest portfolio of domain names, over 2,300 domain names. Nearly all of them are the first and last name of a student activist or a university employee who promoted violence or racism or bigotry on their campus, and we're growing our portfolio every day.
So, Mr. Producer, you can pull it up if you like. I've got the website up. So how can we use this website? So what do? We go to this website and we...
Yeah, DEIinkentucky.com. You could send one message that goes directly to the relevant elected officials, including the Attorney General. And we have a pre-written message. If you're busy, all you got to do is put in your name and email and click send. But if you've got a minute, you could delete our message, write your own, and that's even more noticed by the recipients. Mm-hmm. And these elected officials aren't used to that many emails. They're state reps, they're state senators. So getting a few hundred from you is a huge deal. You know, I'd like to believe that all of our elected officials are saints who descended from the heavens and care only about noble things. But in reality, maybe a couple of them are opportunists looking for the best opportunity to promote themselves. Yeah,
at least one, even on the right, even in the Republican side. So, question: why would you focus on Kentucky as opposed to other states? Or are you doing this for all states? Or are you just picking a few? Or
we do not discriminate. If you're a red state that banned DEI, our investigators have been all over your campuses and will probably be there several times.
Genius. That is awesome. Well, that is
we
so
need
awesome.
You.
Well, you're very much welcomed. You're welcome back here anytime, whenever there's a story to break. And thank you for your work. You're doing the Lord's work. And so Adam with Accuracy in Media, Adam Gillette, right? Am I saying that you're not saying correctly?
Gillette, but no words.
Gillette. Okay, Gillette. Gillette's what you shave with. Gillette is different.
That's right.
Okay, very good. Okay, great. Adam, thanks for being on the show. We'll come back soon, and great work. And so, Debbie, this is amazing stuff. We're definitely going to follow this, and so the University of Kentucky, right there. You know, they're just ignoring the law, and what Debbie said earlier is spot on. We need to call our legislator, call Titchener or whoever your state senator is, or House or state legislator is. Call them, tell them to get behind Senate Bill 26. That's going to put some teeth into dealing with DEI at the primary to secondary level. Now, the post-secondary, that's what this bill that he was discussing, it's already passed. There's some teeth that needs to be put into that. So I would call your legislator and call your senator and say, listen, put some teeth into that, because Kentucky, UK is ignoring that. So
They are. And may I interrupt as well? When you call, they ask for your name and address. They are always so professional, so kind, they are so nonpartisan. But you can put this message out for all of them, all of the Senate for Kentucky, all of the House as well.
That's right. Every person sitting there. Well, good
Yes.
deal. Well, great show today, Debbie. Thanks for being on. And so accuracy.
Awesome
Thanks
to be here.
Adam Gillette. And also remember the TPUSA Super Bowl special is going to be on this station Sunday afternoon. So watch that, and don't watch the woke mainstream Super Bowl party.
And
Watch
in God we trust, May 17th.
That's right. You're exactly right. Very good. Thanks for watching. You're Kentucky's Voice.